Hello, and welcome to the Tips with Tony podcast. I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. I'm very excited for this next guest. She is a registered dietitian like myself. Her name is Jamie DeLaurentis, and she specializes in gut health. And I actually just recently did a poll to my audience about what they wanted to hear about. And this was like a coincidence. Jamie reached out to me to be on the podcast, and I'm like, oh my God, yes, I literally just had people ask for me to talk more about gut health. So this is like perfect timing. I love bringing specialists on. This is really where she, shines and highlights, and I'm super excited to have her here. So Jamie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. That's so funny that I must have had ESP.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's definitely a popular topic of conversation. So I know that this episode is going to do very well in the sense it will probably get lots of downloads and listens and shares. And I hope so, guys. If you're listening and if you learned anything from this, please share it. And so more people can get help. Because unfortunately, people suffer from, bloating. Almost, I would say most of the population probably can say that they have some type of bloating, but like other stuff that people aren't openly speaking about, like normal bowel movements, not going to the bathroom or going to the bathroom too much. I mean, there's just so much that we can go on and on about gut health. But before we get into that, I would love for you to just take a few minutes to introduce yourself by sharing who you are, what you do, and most importantly, why you do what you do.
Okay, so like kind of you introduced, my name's Jamie, and I'm based in Chicago, Illinois. So I live in the city, and I run a virtual private practice called Legal Living. And my brand of legal kind of came from my own household jargon of kind of growing up. I termed the foods that were free of my own allergens as legal. So rather than like a yes or no list, everyone in my family and friends, we just kind of deemed foods as legal or illegal. So it's kind of always a term that we just used. And then as I was starting a private practice, it just felt so right to, call it Legal Living. And it felt very personalized to me. And it helped kind of to bring my own approach to clients. So kind of like you mentioned, I specialize in gut health with a functional medicine lens. So I primarily work with clients with some form of IBS or GI discomfort, as well as skin issues like psoriasis or eczema. So I'd like to say like my ideal client is like that one with the question mark stomach ache. Anything and everything to try to figure out what's causing it, and they just can't pinpoint it. That's kind of my specialty. So really my mission is to help clients with a science-based root cause approach. To find the foods that their body most enjoys, that they most enjoy. And my big message is that you can live a symptom-free life. And this is essentially finding your legal. So that's kind of like my tagline there. That comfy, cozy spot for long-term success, right? Whatever that is for you. I'm very personalized. I work one-on-one with clients. So it's important for me that we really, tailor it to the person.
Yeah, I love that. So it sounds like you grew up with food allergies. Can you let us know in a little bit more about like why this is so important to you and why you chose to specialize in gut health specifically?
Yeah. So kind of to backtrack here. So I went into nutrition. I kind of decided I wanted to go into nutrition in high school, actually, because of my own gut issues. So I wanted to learn more about nutrition and the role in the body. And because by 16, my digestive issues really hit an all-time peak. So high school is kind of like my wake-up moment, that it was kind of time to advocate for myself and to figure out what was going on. Right? Like my mom always helped me and tried to figure it out, but just some point, like, your body better than anyone.
Yeah.
So at 16, I saw a GI doctor. I saw an allergist, which really helped me to rule out big things. So that's definitely an important part of like the process. Find out if you have food allergies, find out if you have like irritable bowel diseases, so like Crohn's or colitis. But kind of after that, I was just left with this umbrella diagnosis of IBS, gastritis, which is just inflammation of the stomach. And then with time, psoriasis. So this was truly, that light bulb moment for me that it was time to really dig deep and find out what was going on in my body. Where was all this inflammation stemming from? So as I went on throughout my schooling to be a dietitian, I got my master's in dietetics. I completed my internship in Chicago. This was always truly on the forefront of my, mind. How can I truly help myself? It was kind of for selfish reasons. But just because I knew that if I found the answer, I can help so many other people just like me. So that's what I did. So I really dug. I started kind of looking into more the integrative and functional medicine side of things, did continuing ed in that world, I guess you can say. And, I used targeted nutrition and lifestyle therapies, and it worked. And so as I kind of work with clients now, I tell them to tell me their story, take me back. When did it all begin? And it's truly like a deja vu moment for me, because client after client, it's their own version of my story. And I think that's special because it helps me connect with clients at a different level as well. Because, I can sympathize and empathize. I was in your same seat once, and I want to get you to where I am today. I really, that was kind of really the whole story.
Yeah, that's really special. It's really special. I love people who have been through something personally and make a career out of it, because I feel like you could really do, like, just your passion will just naturally shine through, and you personally know what you went through. So it makes it that much easier to connect with clients, like you said.
Yeah.
So let's maybe talk just from like basics, like, why is gut health so important? Because you hear it more and more. It's almost becoming almost like trendy, which I don't think is the bad thing per se. I think, I'm always cautious of trends, but I think in this sense, there's a reason behind it, right? There's a purpose behind it. Gut health really is important. But can you maybe shed a little bit of light on why it's so important?
Sure. Yeah. I agree. I think it's definitely, kind of been a buzzword, people feel health, like, tell me more about it. I want to know, which I love, I love
it's good for you.
Giving you questions, but gut health, they kind of deem it as your second brain, for a reason. So it plays such a vital role in your overall health and well-being. It impacts your digestion, obviously, but as well as your mood and your energy, your hair, your skin, your immune system, your hormones. So those are all components that I touch on with clients. And it's kind of components too that you should be kind of in tune with in your own body to kind of signal that maybe your gut needs some love. The gut brain axis is kind of a huge one too. And I think that's kind of a hot topic in like social media right now. Because 90% of your serotonin, which is like your happy hormone, is actually produced in your gut. So, healthy gut is a happy gut. It's true. That's nothing but facts. So, and, beyond that, your gut plays such a huge role in digestion and absorption of nutrients as well. Which is also a big part of my practice, just because malabsorption of nutrients can lead to further issues. So whether that can be anemia or deficiencies, and, as a dietitian, so many nutrients work together, they kind of tag team. So, if we are limiting one, it kind of can impact another and lead to further issues. Like, for example, like B12 and folate work together in the immune system. So if we are deficient in one, it can cause further issues. So the gut, it really, has a dual purposes. And it's really important to kind of tune in and kind of see how you can kind of beef up that gut environment.
Yeah. I think going back to what you said earlier, I don't think people realize that their mood is related to their gut. Like, you would think simplistically, like, obviously if you're bloated, you're going to be in a bad mood sort of a situation, but more so that it actually, like you said, can be you're not going to be able to release things like serotonin, which actually makes you happy. And it becomes cyclical, right? So it's like, you don't have the great, your gut's kind of screwed up. So now you're maybe more anxious. Now you're upset about being anxious, and then being anxious disrupts your microbiome. It's like a total cycle that I don't think people realize,
Yeah. And it's, truly why it's so common too. It's because like you
Mhm.
stress about one and then stress about the other, and it's nonstop. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like being on a carousel or something that you just can't keep up.
Yeah, totally. Totally. So also referring back to what we were talking about earlier about gut health being kind of super trendy right now, I'm sure I know there is. I'm
Yeah.
curious from what you've heard. There are many misinterpreted like messages and marketing claims and things out in the media. What is probably the most misinterpreted message about gut health that you've either heard or read about?
I would say that it's not always what you're eating, it's what you're not eating. Um, because
Mm.
elimination diets, they're so trendy right now.
Mm.
The amount of people that just want a list of foods to say no to is kind of unbelievable.
Mm.
And, I often get asked, can you help me guide me through an elimination diet? And, for starters, I admire that they ask for a professional's help because that's huge. But before you even want to think about eliminating these large food groups, you want to assess what you're actually eating.
Mm.
It's almost, I wouldn't say comical, but the people that want to give up high FODMAP, so like the FODMAP diet is a common one for like IBS, but these people are not even eating high FODMAP foods. So like
Mm.
giving them up doesn't really do much benefit.
Mhm.
So I kind of always use the term to assess your foundations, right? Do a true audit of what you're eating at that point in time. Are you eating fried food and fast food and chips, crackers, cookies? Or are you truly eating a solid, balanced diet? Then that's where we want to dig deeper. Um,
Mhm.
but you always kind of want to audit what you're eating at that very moment. So again, it's not always what you're eating, it's what you're not eating. So add more fiber and fruits and vegetables and more color to your plate. And how unsexy as that sounds, it's true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you need the foundations. I posted something about that recently, and I even think I recorded a podcast about it too, because it's just like people go to supplements like first thing, or they'll jump to, I mean, and there's definitely truth to certain supplements and probiotics and things that can be beneficial. But like, if you're not doing the foundational things, if you're just not drinking enough water or managing your stress or, whatever it is, like you're going to feel it. There's basic things that can be done first.
yeah, and food sensitivities are also, they're just essentially like an indicator that something's going on in your gut, right?
Mm.
Kind of a poor gut environment. So, we can't just like give up these foods and walk away. It's kind of like throwing in the towel. We
Mhm.
want to
Mhm.
we want to really dig and find out why you can't tolerate those foods. First, you kind of keep on to unpack and ask why. Uh,
Mhm.
and I think that's a huge message that I think needs to be spread more. That kind of the first line of defense is not always elimination diet or the low
Mhm.
FODMAP diet.
Mhm.
Kind of there's more to the story. So kind of just got to open the book.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so true. And I also love that you said we need to focus on what to add in rather than what to take away.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm glad to hear some people go to you, but I also know a lot of people don't go to a professional and they kind of just like hear this stuff and then they do it on their own. And I mean, I deal with a lot of clients who struggle with disordered eating. So now you have somebody with a history of an eating disorder or struggling with disordered eating. Now they're told by maybe their GI doctor, or they just heard that, oh, like someone's doing Whole30. We should talk about Whole30, by the way. We'll go back to that. And they're like, oh, I did this. Like, I think this would be great for me, or I should do it. And then they tend to like eliminate all these foods, but now they're afraid of these foods
Yeah.
and they didn't really learn anything, and they know that they can't continue to forever because then they have like nothing to eat, and then it's like they have nothing to eat, or they just go the complete other way and they just feel they give up, and then it could either create an eating disorder, or it could just pull them back into one, or just create a very unhealthy relationship with food. I just
Yeah.
find that it often causes more stress, which is the first thing that you need to be eliminating. It's not helpful.
Yeah. And I was going to say, kind of like the saddest part of it all is that they end up feeling worse. Like the issues
Yeah.
get worse because they're so stressed about what they should be eating or not eating.
Mhm.
And so like,
Mhm.
that's truly when they throw in the towel and they start to
Mhm.
beat it. It's like
Mhm.
continuous cycle of lack of improvement, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Since I brought it up, I know we weren't planning on talking about this today, but do you want to maybe make a comment or two about the Whole30 diet?
So I'll give it some pros. I'll start with the goods, right? So it's awesome that it teaches you to eat more whole foods, I guess, for beginners, more fruits and vegetables. But it does cut out grains. That's kind of like their big thing, is to be kind of like a paleo based.
Mm-hmm.
So, and grains provide so much benefit for the gut.
Mm-hmm.
Prebiotics, they're huge for short chain fatty acid support. So short chain fatty acids are produced in your gut. It's like a fermented carbohydrate. So lack of carbs, or even like those who do the keto diet kind of end up with further gut issues because our gut relies on this. I kind of always explain it as like a mama bird to baby bird relationship. It's like you're the mama bird. Your gut relies on what you feed it as fuel. That's what your bacteria uses as feed, essentially. And so kind of rice and starches, resistant starch specifically, play a huge role in that. So kind of eliminating out grains entirely can impact your gut environment. And they have so much like minerals and B vitamins, which are also essential for digestion. So I think that's kind of like their big lacking point, is that they try to cut out kind of carbohydrates for a lower calorie to help people lose weight. But I think that, grains are needed for a reason. They in the body.
Thank you for describing it like that, because, I feel like when I talk about starches and carbs, because I'm not focusing solely on gut health, like my interpretation of it is often related to like, we need carbs for energy and it's not realistic long-term, blah, blah, blah. But I think you just described it in like another way with another layer that I don't think people even realize.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to use that one now as an added number to the list of why not to eliminate carbohydrates.
I think people just think of gut bacteria as like a probiotic, right? They don't really think of what else is feeding their gut. So that's kind of where the whole eat the rainbow comes from. Every color that you're eating is providing a specific benefit to your gut. So whether it's blue, it's purple, it's orange, our gut is thriving off of all of that. So it kind of provides another layer to, eat the rainbow as well. So just a lot of benefit to foundations, like I said, that provide such benefit for our gut bacteria and that whole gut environment.
That's great. So so those are the positives to, like you were saying, there was the positives to the whole foods diet is that it focuses on whole foods. The negative to it is that it eliminates starches, which your body definitely needs. Yeah. Then you went on to talk about prebiotics, which I definitely have touched on, but I would love for you to go into a little bit more detail or explanation, because probiotics are like, everyone knows about probiotics. Everybody, is interested in probiotics, but like, what are prebiotics? They're probably, people listening to this podcast have probably never even heard of it before, or maybe they've heard, if they've listened to me before, they maybe heard me talk about it, but like, talk to us. What are prebiotics?
So prebiotics are fiber. So it's a prebiotic fiber, I guess is the full term for it. But it's kind of like an umbrella term for either polyphenols that are found in fruits and vegetables, as well as starches, so resistant starch. So the whole goal with a prebiotic fiber is that you want it resists digestion in the small intestine, and it makes its way to the colon or the large intestine for fermentation into these short chain fatty acids. And this is kind of our end goal here. This is kind of getting to the finish line is when you get these short chain fatty acids. They have protective mechanisms for the gut, and this is what builds up a strong gut environment. So good examples of prebiotics kind of from the resistant starch category would be like cooled and cooked potatoes or rice, grains. So like we were talking about with the Whole30 diet. And then kind of from the vegetable category, a lot of, our broccoli, cauliflower, kind of like the obviously ones that everyone knew were the healthier ones. So like the greens, the spinach, all of these are awesome sources of prebiotic fiber. As well as some fiber supplements can be deemed as prebiotic fiber as well, like acacia fiber, psyllium husk. But these have great benefit for that short chain fatty acid support, but as well as like motility, So if you're someone that struggles with like constipation, prebiotic fiber would be huge.
Mhm.
So yeah,
So what if, so because you brought it up, if someone is eating all of those foods, so let me just like remind everyone listening, food first, right? Always food
yeah.
first, right? So they're eating all those foods, but now maybe they're still not going. Like, which like prebiotic supplement would you recommend, or would you recommend one in that situation?
So for like a constipation
Mm-hmm.
situation,
Mm-hmm.
so I would say if you feel like you're getting a lot of dietary fiber, it could even be too much if you're having some type of like constipation. So a good resource would be magnesium, as well as like on my Instagram page, I talk about a mineral mocktail a lot. So this would be huge for constipation, especially magnesium, because it helps to relax the bowel and help to kind of trigger more regular bowel movements.
Would it be a specific type of magnesium or
um,
any?
so
Yeah.
oxygenated magnesium would be the best for kind of like a laxative purpose. So for that
Right.
scenario, so it's always deemed as like oxy mag or mag ox or something in that category. But like mag citrate, or like a good product by Jigsaw Health is mag smooth
Yeah.
soothe. So that would be a great one, but definitely so tune in or try to utilize magnesium, find like the dose that works with you. Um, because too much fiber, and especially like fiber supplements, so like Benefiber is like a common one just because it's like a store bought
Yeah, it's
fiber.
over the counter, easy to find. Yeah.
um Kind of like too much of one type of fiber can actually be is exacerbate whatever symptoms you're experiencing. So so kind of on top of adding in the magnesium, add different types of fiber. So whether, switch the type of food or vegetable you're eating every single day,
Mm-hmm.
switch up the
Mm-hmm.
type of fiber supplement you're taking,
Mm-hmm.
they'll make a big impact.
Right. And I think to go off of that, it just proves like variety is key and
Yeah,
essential for a balanced gut, a balanced diet. And I think that's the problem with so many like restrictive diets. It's so much more than just then the weight comes back. Like people's first thought of diets is weight loss, but they don't realize the damage they're doing to their gut. I mean, I've talked about the damage to the metabolism, but even like there's so much more damage than people think. They don't realize what they're doing. Like those restrictive diets are not helping you, not even in the short term. They're definitely not helping you in the long run.
yeah. I think my biggest like pet peeve is like the 6 small meals a day thing, you know, because your body needs time to digest what it just ate. So if you just
Mm-hmm.
eat, almost like slapping on another meal.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
important to really, prioritize that like 3 to 4 hours between every single meal, to help just motility reasons to really get
Mm-hmm.
food moving and grooving.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think
Yeah.
that, kind of an old mentality of like the 6 small meals.
Well, yeah. I mean, something I often say is it's very much individualized to you and your schedule and what you're able to do. For some people, if they go too far, then they overeat, and that could damage their digestion as well, because then the cravings come up or they overconsume or whatever. But yeah, I mean, definitely like it's really, it has to be dependent on that person,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
Um, so, okay, what is one thing someone can do today to improve their gut health?
Um, so I guess kind of as we talked about, kind of the unsexy parts of the foundation. So really assessing if you're getting probiotics, prebiotics, fiber, fat, protein, and again to eat the rainbow. So I kind of touched on this before, but every color is a different polyphenol. So whether red, green, yellow, blue, these all have different benefits for the gut. So really to make sure you're eating all the colors of fruits and vegetables. And then just on top of food things, sleep and stress management, finding time for yourself, doing the things you most enjoy, like what makes you happy. Those are all huge components of gut health. And they're important, kind of living on this go, go, go lifestyle and always being stressed is kind of one of the top indicators of that can lead to this cascade of gut issues, super high stress lifestyles. For many reasons. So I'd say definitely start there. So food foundations, sleep routine, manage your stress, prioritize the things you love. And then I touched on it earlier too, the mineral mocktail. So this one is kind of huge. I feel like this is like the secret weapon, I guess you could say, in gut
She's
health.
letting it out publicly for free on the podcast. Let's hear it.
Because minerals, so like specifically like iodine, magnesium, we talked a little bit about that for constipation, but and zinc, they're huge for stomach acid production. They help bile release. So these are huge digestive juices in the digestive system. So kind of like, I guess as you keep digging for someone's root cause to all their gut issues, you're going to find along the way that low stomach acid is likely one of those things. So mineral mocktail is huge for low stomach acid. So it just helps the pH of the stomach, essentially. You want an acidic stomach to kill off all the bad things. So this mineral mocktail can really help with that.
Is that like something somebody buys? Is it a supplement? Is it something that you prescribe? Like, what would you say is inside the mineral mocktail?
So the contents of it, so you'd want a source of iodine. So this can be like Redmond salt, so like true sodium iodine. A source of vitamin C, so it just can be like a squeeze of orange or lemon. You'd want a source of magnesium, and then a source of potassium as well. So this can be like coconut water or powdered coconut water. So it's essentially like this electrolyte. I feel like that's more of a word that people know, electrolyte mineral drink that can create early wins for clients, truly, and just anyone listening to this episode that kind of feels kind of off. And it's huge for energy too, right? So kind of like how we need nutrients to create ATP in the body, we need minerals. So, as you reach for afternoon cup of coffee, reach for your mineral mocktail.
Yeah, definitely. Because then that cup of coffee keeps you up past midnight, and then you stay stuck in that cycle. Feeling tired, waking up late, missing your workout, maybe doing your workout, but you only had 4 hours of sleep. It's real rough. So yeah, the caffeine in the afternoon is probably the other thing that's screwing up many things.
I know. I used to have the worst tolerance to caffeine. Like I could have caffeine before bed and there was no issue. So that's when you know really a problem.
Oh yeah, that you like adjusted too much. Yeah. No, I go back and forth. You know, it's crazy. I don't think I talked about this on the podcast yet, but I got COVID like right before I was eligible for the vaccine. Like maybe like, I don't know, it was the end of March, and like I'm going to be 31. I think like 30 and up, you were able to go like the next week or whatever. Anyways, I get sick with COVID, did not feel well for quite a while. I am like a huge coffee lover, like obsessed with the flavor of it. Not so much about the caffeine aspect. I just love the taste of coffee. I didn't lose my taste or smell, but since then I just like don't even like the flavor of it. So like my top, like I like am slowly ingesting less caffeine, but not on purpose. Like, I just like, don't care. What?
That's kind of heartbreaking. I love
it's coffee. Hard. I'm obsessed with coffee. And like people know me for loving coffee and wine. It's like weird. I mean, definitely didn't lose my taste for wine, but I definitely lost my taste for coffee. It's just crazy. It is crazy. Since I have you here, and as I was thinking about coffee, and then like my brain went like pH and stuff. So like, and like acids, I was just like thinking, can you speak to maybe someone who might be drinking like an alkaline water or is trying to like change the pH of their gut, and like they hear about these trendy things? Like, can you speak a little bit to like what that means, the pH of our gut, and like how it benefits us or doesn't, or blah, 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 like just what people are hearing? And I'm sure you probably got this question before, and just like, we'll kind of just we'll talk about that and then we can wrap up.
Sure. So for starters, kind of having any type of acid reflux or indigestion is actually a sign of low stomach acid. So it's kind of an opposite going on there. So you think like, I have acid, but you have low stomach acid. Mm-hmm. That's where truly, before you turn to any of these alkaline waters or anything, I would turn to that mineral mocktail that I just mentioned, because you want to build up that stomach acid and beef it up, create more of an acidic environment for your gut. That's going to stop kind of that upbringing of the contents of kind of the juices that are coming up in your esophagus. So, kind of all those fad products, I can't speak to them many of them just because I kind of haven't looked into most of them.
Mhm.
But a huge thing for stomach acid is iodine. So unless those products are giving you, true forms of iodine, it wouldn't be really a product I would recommend, I guess.
Probably. Right.
Um,
Okay.
yeah,
So, repeat what's in the mineral mocktail one more time for the listeners so they
sure,
can implement something today.
sure. So iodine. So it can be like Redmond salt is a good like brand. Vitamin C. So it could be a splash of orange juice, a squeeze of a lemon, and then magnesium and potassium, which can both be found in coconut water or powdered coconut water. You can buy that on Amazon, even like the powdered form. Other potassium sources could be like cream of tartar. You can add like magnesium. I mentioned that Mag Soothe by Jigsaw Health. That could be a good one as well. But that combo there, is good for
I've
digestion.
never heard of the powdered coconut water. Is it lower in sugar? Is that why you would recommend a powdered form, or is it just last longer and be more affordable?
Yeah, just preference really. Like Bumble Root. I think Bumble Root, that's a brand of coconut. I think they kind of have like flavors to them. So if you kind of want like a flavor situation happening,
That'd be interesting.
yeah.
Would you recommend that as like preventative gut health? Like what if someone doesn't have any gut issues, or is it more so for when someone is really maybe struggling with maybe either acid reflux or bloating or, normal bowel movements, discomfort, anything like that?
Yeah, I would recommend it kind of for anyone because it's huge for energy as well. And as like the more stressed and fast-paced lifestyle you live, the more minerals you're depleting. Your adrenal kind of just, deplete them quickly. So I would say anyone who has digestive issues, acid reflux, you feel like you're always tired or fatigued, you're kind of on this go lifestyle. I feel like those would be the big clientele for it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's so great. Oh my God. I feel like I can speak to you for hours.
Oh,
Yeah, no, because you're very knowledgeable. I think this is important. Guys, if you try the mineral mocktail, let us know. But please also don't forget about the very foundational things that can be done. Just a balanced diet,
yeah.
limit, delegate some things. Don't stress yourself out. Like she just said, the reason why the stress, maybe you want to, and then we'll wrap up. Just speak a little bit more. You touched on it with your cortisol and your adrenal glands and why does stress impact the gut so much?
Well, it has a lot to do with the nervous system, fight or flight responses, rest and digest. So kind of always in this stress state. Your adrenal glands, your HPA axis, it all plays a huge role in your gut, and kind of like the population of the bacteria in your gut. So it can lead to like a stress go lifestyle, always being stressed about your gut symptoms can lead to things like we talked about, like low stomach acid, which then can lead to infections and pathogens and overgrowth or whatever it may be. So as you're looking at someone's like stool testing, because that's what I do in my practice, you always want to ask what caused such a dysbiotic gut environment, like what caused all this to happen? And stress is likely part of that puzzle. So finding tools to manage your stress is huge. And that just might be, engaging in more things that make you happy. Human interaction, I feel like is a huge one for people these days. So
Definitely.
safe interaction, but
yeah,
friends,
yeah, definitely.
So yeah,
Definitely.
so a huge component and yeah, just that gut brain axis is very much part of the picture.
Yeah, this is so great. You're so knowledgeable. Where can people find you, connect with you? I'm sure they have a ton of different questions. If they wanted to get maybe their more personalized questions answered, how would they get in contact with you?
Yeah, so Instagram, it's at Legal Living, so it's LEGALIVING. So there's just one L in the middle there. And Facebook, I have a Legal Living page as well, but Instagram would kind of be the best source. So you can DM me with any questions, and then legalliving.com as well, if you kind of wanted to learn more about me and working together.
Yeah, awesome. All right, guys, definitely go give Jamie a follow. If you're struggling with gut health, with your gut, like get professional help. Jamie is very knowledgeable. She will help you. You do have to do a disgusting stool test. I'm not going to be fully transparent. That part is the hardest part. It's disgusting, but it's so worth it because then you can get to the root. It's just, it's so beneficial to go straight to the source. Like I will stand behind any nutrition professional, and you think that you're saving money by like trying to do it on your own, but you're literally wasting time, money, and energy when you could invest that into someone who is going to just help you. Just like, oh God, I don't think people realize what they're settling for. Like, I don't think they realize like, it's not normal that you don't go to the bathroom regularly. Like that's not okay. It's not normal that you take Tums, which you didn't talk about that, which we know is, I know, which is not the best thing that you should be doing. If you have acid reflux, popping Tums is probably the last thing you want to be doing. But sorry, sis, we should probably do a part 2.
Yeah.
Guys, let me know if you want me to do a part 2. Message me on Instagram at tips_with_Tony with an I, and let me know your questions, and Jamie will probably have you back for a part 2. But like, that's just like, that's not, you're not getting to the root. You're just putting a Band-Aid on things. And if anything, making it worse. And it's really just costing you. So you're just like, your life is just, you don't even realize what you're missing out on until you heal your gut.
Yeah. Well, and gut issues are so common that it's become normal, and I want to talk about it,
Yes. I mean, that's like disordered eating.
Yeah.
It's like very normal to not eat carbs. Like that's normal, it's very normal to be on a diet and to barely eat all day long. Like that is normal. It's normal to overeat past the point of fullness because you're celebrating, but it's every single day. That's normal. That's not normal. That does not feel good. We need to do better. Yeah. Oh my God.
Gonna talk about it. That's
Awesome. All right, Jamie, any last minute comments, things you want to talk about today before you wrap up?
I don't think so. Just follow me and see you on Instagram.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Go follow Jamie. If you're not already subscribed to the Tips with Tony podcast, definitely hit that subscribe button. A new episode comes out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And when you're subscribed, you don't miss a beat. As always, this is Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time.